Solo travel allows you to build confidence, become independent. You're going to learn more about yourself as you face challenges and adapt. In today's video, I'm going to give you tips how you can take your first trip alone. The first thing you're going to need to do is figure out where you want to travel to. There are a lot of resources. You can obviously use my channel on YouTube. You can also use other forms of social media. There's lots of Pinterest boards, TikTok. We'll see what happens with the app. There is IG, even Facebook groups. All of these are going to allow you to ask questions, but really, I want you to think about where you would like to go. Is it going to be Europe? Do you want something tropical? Maybe Central America? A lot of first timers go to Costa Rica, Mexico. I would recommend those if you have not traveled solo. For women traveling alone, I am going to recommend the Solo Female Safety Index. You can find this online. What it does, it compares destinations according to factors like street safety, harassment, cultural attitudes, and violence statistics. I use this and I decided to go to Rwanda once I saw how high it was ranked as one of the most solo travel friendly places in all of Africa, the continent. So that's why I went to East Africa first. I went to both countries because Rwanda is amazing for solo travelers. You can review the index to see which destinations align with where you would like to visit. Of course, the majority of the reviewers are not POCs. Do keep that in mind. You do want to see more reviews that relate to you and hear what they are saying as well. Also with your destination, if you are an American citizen, to look up Travel State Gov. This is a valuable resource, you guys. Travel State Gov gives you up-to-date information on travel advisories, entry requirements. You know that there are levels 1 to 4. When I did my Haiti series, thank y'all for watching, it was a level 4 when I went. It is currently at a level 4. For you as a first-time traveler, I'm going to recommend that you go to destinations that are a 1. Maybe in Europe, like Iceland. 1 or 2, you're going to be good to go. I've done Brazil. It was about a 3. But I have years of experience doing this. I would not recommend you going to somewhere like Colombia for your first time traveling. Review the list on the Solo Female Travel Safety Index and also look at Travel State Gov. I do recall telling viewers that a lot of Black and brown countries are going to be rated higher, you know, the 3s and the 4s. Just stick to the 1s and the 2s. Now it's time for you to get your flight. You have your destination secured. Let's get the flight. I'm going to recommend that you use Skyscanner and or Google Flights. Skyscanner is great because if you are flexible, you can filter destinations even with your budget by selecting cheapest month or everywhere. You will see a range of locations. I really like to use this tool and I just go wherever is cheapest. You guys know I am a budget traveler. You can also do this with Google Flights. Now, which is better, Skyscanner or Google Flights? Skyscanner, you're going to be able to explore destinations and dates if you are a flexible traveler, while Google is going to filter by airline alliances. So if you are wanting to be loyal to an airline, get your points, and travel that way, you might want to use Google Flights. Sometimes Skyscanner's prices aren't exact, and they will have you go to a third-party site to book. What I would do is just compare prices, and I would use both tools to help me when I am booking my flight. Google Flights also does well with detailed fare tracking. They will email you if the rate goes lower, then you can use that. I've heard of, it used to be called Scott's Cheap Flights. Now it's Going, but that's a paid service. I don't recommend you paying a service just so you can find flights. Like, that's a bit ridiculous to me. Google Flights and Skyscanner have proven time and time again for me because I am also a flexible traveler. You want to look at flights that leave midweek, off-peak season. So your choice is going to depend upon your priorities. Entry requirements are important because you need to know the visa policies and the required documents. When I went to Rwanda, I first stopped at Kenya. I knew for me to get into either of those countries, I was going to need to have the East African visa at the time. So you want to make sure that you know those requirements so that when you get to the airport, you are not denied access into the country. Make sure you have a visa for those countries that require it. You can also enroll in the STEP program. This is known as the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. This is to ensure that the local embassy can reach you in the event of emergency. They are going to give you updates with what's going on in the country that you're visiting. If a major event or something is happening, they will also give you alerts. I personally have not signed up with STEP. This is something that I need to remember to do and try out and review for you guys. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you found useful. Once your flight is booked, you are going to want to call and request your special meal. If you are vegetarian, you have some dietary restrictions. I like to do this once the flight is booked. That way I can request my vegetarian meal. They're going to give you all of the options if your flight offers this. So make sure you get your meal, because when you're in flight, the airlines, they have a set number of meals. Sometimes they might be able to give you one, but especially for vegetarian, there's only a certain number. You don't want to just be on the plane hungry. If you're not bringing your own food or snacks, I would definitely call the airline ahead of time so they can make sure that you are set with your meal. The next thing that you are going to need to plan on getting is travel insurance. It will protect you from unexpected emergencies like medical evacuation, trip cancellation, lost luggage, even flight delays. There are different companies. I am going to recommend Safety Wing. You can look at the link below in the description box for more information. But you want to make sure that you are getting travel insurance for sure. And this is not the insurance that they recommend you to get when you are booking your flight. I'm talking about a separate policy. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and let me know by watching it to the end, and don't forget to subscribe. For some people, they find this fun and exciting, others not so much. For me, I like to pack either the night before or the morning of because I do not enjoy it. Here are some tips for you when packing. Whatever you are bringing, you want to check the weather. Make sure that you have enough clothes for that season. Some places it will be winter, others it will be summer. I like to pack light. You know that I only bring a carry-on, whether it is the away carry-on luggage or a backpack. I would wear my heaviest shoes on me on the plane and then maybe just bring one or two pairs, that can fit easily into the backpack. If you're taking a suitcase and you're not team carry-on, you want to pack everything, open the suitcase again, and take half of it out. Again, I said take half of it out because you're not going to need all of that stuff, you guys. You don't want to be definitely not having multiple luggage. I always think of people struggling in Europe over the cobblestone streets because they overpacked. You don't need it. In fact, I would recommend, if you like to bring lots of luggage, bring an empty suitcase so that you can shop. I'm thinking of Europe. Europe's on my mind because the shopping there is absolutely fantastic. The thrift stores are amazing. And you want to bring some souvenirs home. Why not fashion souvenirs? Those are the best ones. Bring less items and bring double the funds. You are going to need to have money when you are traveling. Also, for solo travelers, I'm going to recommend that you bring a power bank, extra chargers. You need to make sure that your phone is 90% or higher as much as you can throughout your trip. You don't want to be without a phone. Back in the day when I was traveling in my 20s, I really was not reliant on it as much. Now the times have changed and I cannot live without my phone. I'm recording this video on my phone. I do everything with it. And it would be unfortunate if you were unable to access it, show your boarding pass or your activity confirmation because your phone's dead. It's died out, right? So make sure that you have power banks, make sure they are working, make sure that you charge them the night before, get your electronics together. I also would pack any medications that you are going to need, essential oils for those who might be experiencing some anxiety. I would bring a portable water bottle, and you can look at this video where I talk more about travel essentials. Now it is time for you to fly. When you get to the airport, I'm going to recommend that you get there at least 2 to 3 hours early for first time solo travel. You want to make sure that you have enough time to check in if you're not team carry-on, especially for some of you are going to these large major airports like ATL, DFW, JFK. It is a lot and it can be overwhelming. I don't know if you knew this, but there are sensory rooms. I know Atlanta has one. Atlanta, it has to be Delta if you're flying Delta. It's for families with children who have autism, but it's also for adults who struggle with anxiety. And you can just rest in there. But it's nice to know that they have these sensory rooms that are free. If you want to pay, I would recommend that you go to an airport lounge. You already got to the airport early. Why not chill at the lounge? Some of these are going to come with credit card access. Some are going to be included if you're flying business class. You can also access them by having Lounge Buddy or Priority Pass. I did this a couple of times when I was in Sao Paulo. I was able to experience the lounge, one of the lounges that they had there. All around the world, you can get access to some of these lounges even the day of. You just need to, pay the fee. Some are very affordable, maybe $20, $30, and they will inform you. You're going to see all of the flight screens, and you're not going to miss your flight. Some of them have showers. They're very nice. Stay in the lounge, get yourself a drink, calm yourself down, and get ready because you're about to fly. You're about to take this trip. Download the airline app. They are going to be able to text you the gate number. You can also put your flight number into Google. If you have an iPhone, you could put it into your iMessage. You would need to know your airline code. For example, American Airlines is AA, Spirit is NK, and then you're going to have the number of your flight. Type that in, and you would already know the gate that you're going to need to go to. I see some people sometimes they're just stressed out. They don't like looking at the flight screens because, it's always changing with the returns, the departures. You got to look and see if it's the right destination and airline. It's a lot going on. You can just get your individual flight information by using the airline app or using the tip that I just shared with you. Make sure that you have a copy of your passport. I do not like to have my passport on me while I am walking around, whether it's doing activities once I reach the destination, but I do keep a copy of it on my phone. I also have a physical copy just in case, my things were swiped or something major happened. Now, if you are checking bags, you are going to take the risk of them losing your luggage. A lot of people travel with checked bags and there's no problem. So it's up to you. I like to be in and out. Okay. As soon as I land, I go to customs and I'm already getting my transportation together. Speaking of transportation, you want to make sure that you have your transportation secured before you exit the airport. Sometimes a lot of the taxi drivers, they can just swarm you. And again, it can be overwhelming because they're asking you where you're going. Do you want to go with them? They're going to probably charge you some wild price. Arrange it beforehand and you can alleviate those problems. Also, if you are going to be exchanging money at the airport, only do a little bit, I'd say $20, $30. And then once you get to your destination, if you're staying in the city center, you want to exchange it there. The rates at the airport are sky high because they know they can take advantage of the passengers. They're thinking, oh, this is the only time I'll be able to have money, get my pesos or krona, whatever that currency is. Do a little bit and then exchange it once you get into town. And with the Uber taxis or Lyfts, that's already attached to your account. So you could even get away cash free. When it comes to places to stay, make sure that you have booked your first night and then you can plan the rest of your trip accordingly. You don't want to have your entire stay booked and then get to the accommodation, realize, I don't like it, I'm not feeling the vibe, and now you're stuck there the entire trip. I book my accommodation with Hostelworld, Booking.com. I will look at the reviews and then I'll go to Google. I also will use Airbnb. Sometimes I'll use Airbnb Plus. I remember when I went to Brazil in Rio, that was the best Airbnb that I stayed in. The concierge was great. The host was fantastic. Usually if you're doing Airbnb, you want to get a host who's answering quickly. I would say within the hour. There is going to be a time difference. That tells you that they are on it. To them, this is their business. And they want to make sure, especially you as a solo traveler, are in good hands. She had everything. She had beach chairs. She had umbrellas. She was like, oh no, you just take this beach chair and go to the beach. You're in Rio, right? I remember in Japan, they automatically gave me the portable Wi-Fi from the jump. Like, I have been in some great situations. I've also been in some not great ones through Airbnb. It is going to cost a little more. You can browse it with the Airbnb Plus filter. Usually these hosts have been on the platform for years. Back in the one in Rio, it was just well decorated with enhanced amenities. I looked outside and there was a lot of plants. I like having windows when I am traveling. I'm laughing because I do stay in hostels also. Now, with hostels, you are going to want to look at Hostel World, but you can also go to Google. Booking.com gives me a lot of discounts. So again, I really just use all three. I think when I was in Colombia, I stayed in Laureles in Medellin, and I got a really nice, they called it a hostel, but I had my own room for like 20 a night. And I believe that was through Booking.com. It was really great. Another site that you can use to read reviews would be TripAdvisor. Look at who is reviewing. For this, it doesn't necessarily matter about the race or ethnicity. You need to see if they are a solo traveler. See how solo travelers were treated. You can look at the age. I always want to filter it out and see what these solo travelers are saying for these accommodations. I think you heard me mention this earlier. Make sure that the place you are staying at is in the city center. It is going to be better for you. Just save yourself the trouble and stay in the city center. For activities, you're going to have a few options. I recommend Get Your Guide. You have Viator. You can even use Airbnb experiences. There are free walking tours. You can go to your concierge at a hotel. You can go to the front desk at the hostel. I really like how hostels always have these organized tours. You can easily sign up quickly and you will be able to see the attractions in the city with a group. If you want to do it by yourself, you can use the apps that I just mentioned. With Get Your Guide, Viator, Airbnb experiences, you can search it by the city. You can search it by the activity, which is cool. You can search it by the attraction. There are going to be tours that are available. There's going to be activities. You could try a cooking tour. I remember I did a enjoyable fruit tour in Colombia. You know, they have the tropical fruits. It was over 20, I believe, fruits that I was able to try. And I found that on Airbnb experiences. Get Your Guide and Viator also offer transportation deals if you're looking for airport drop off and pickup, so you can check that out as well. They also offer pub crawls if you're into that. If you want to do some nightlife, all you need to do is sign up, book, pay for it, and they might even give you discounts in the future. They offer guided experiences and skip the line tours. For your destination, you might even want to check out if there are free admission days. I know a lot of the museums in Europe, they offer free admission. With that, it does mean it's going to be crowded on those days because locals, along with tourists, are going to be there. I recommend that you go in the morning. If you're a morning person, even if you're not, wake up early. Your experience is going to be better. Sometimes I don't like going to these attractions when all the busloads of tourists come because it's just crowded, tons of people. I like going early in the morning. How to get around your city? You're going to want to use Uber, taxi, Lyft. You can walk by foot. You can rent a car. I'm going to recommend the tool Roam to Rio. Roam to Rio is a travel planning app and website. It helps users explore and compare various transportation options between destinations around the world. It can help you with planning complex itineraries or figuring out the best way to travel between less connected locations. What you're going to do, you're going to pull up the site, you put in your destination. I've done it before because I like to travel from city to city within a country. Like in Colombia, I did Medellin, Palenque. I also went to Guatapé. I did Cartagena. And Roam to Rio, it can really help you find the best way to travel between those locations. It is going to show you flights, trains, buses, ferries, driving routes. It will give you approximate travel times and costs. Y'all know I like to take a bus and a train somewhere. It integrates with the booking services so you can have links where you can quickly get these flights, tickets, and more. For buses, I'm going to recommend Flixbus. This is a European company. They even have Flixbus in the US. I use them sometimes in Florida. I like the design of the bus. They are newer. You can find rates on busbud.com too, but I would use Flixbus. I remember using them, I believe it was from Oslo to Stockholm. And you know it's going to be cheaper than flying. If you are wanting to use public transportation like the metro, make sure that you download the app for the city that you are going to be visiting. Rome has a great metro. I'm thinking Scandinavia, they're on it with their metros, and it's a great way for you to get around. Pack light, keep your bag close to you just for safety reasons, and have your fare ready. A lot of these places are going cashless. You just use your phone, book your fare ahead of time. As a vegetarian, food is going to be important for me when I travel. I like to use Happy Cow. You can filter it by the city or the country. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I went to Brazil. Believe it or not, they have a number of delicious vegetarian restaurants. I always like to recommend that you go to the capital, Sao Paulo. You can also use the tourism board's websites. I remember Visit Jamaica. They did have some good recommendations for vegetarians on there as well. And of course, you could use social media. TikTok has a lot of good food recommendations. Of course, IG. Always double check on Google to see if the restaurants, these spots, are open. Sometimes they might be closed. Sometimes their address is a little dicey, and then you're just wasting time trying to find something that's been closed for a year. I think of Atlanta. Sometimes those businesses, they just go through some things, but on Google, it's still appearing as if it's operating. A budget tip: if you do not want to be eating out for each meal, you could try to cook some of your own. Hostels have lovely kitchens that are available for use. If you like, I ain't cooking on no trip. What you can do is you can have a nice lunch at a fancy restaurant. So instead of going to dinner, you go there for lunch, and you can save some money there. Like I said, if I am going out early in the morning, I'm seeing all the sights, you can treat yourself to a nice dinner because you save money by not having to check bags. Okay. You also may have saved money by spending the night at the airport. Y'all probably like, this girl is traveling. Like, she is on another level of travel. But for Happy Cow, you can filter it by vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free to find the options that are going to best suit your dietary needs. Lastly, let's talk about some safety tips. I know that I said your phone is going to be vital for your trip, but while you are moving from place to place, whether it's the airport, your attractions, your hostel, getting in and out of taxis, you need to have situational awareness and not be on your phone. I see a lot of people in transit while they're just walking, moving around, glued to that phone. It is insane. Be aware of your surroundings, especially if you are traveling solo. Don't say that you're traveling alone. You might want to wear a ring. I've seen some women do this, but some men, they don't care. I'm talking about harassment here, where, they are being approached by men. The woman can just lie and be like, oh, I'm going back to the room with my boyfriend or with my husband. They still might follow you though. If that happens, I will kind of walk towards a building and just go inside, usually a bank, because they're going to have security guards. Even police outside of the US, I don't want to say that, they are helpful to me as a woman traveling solo. All right, so I would go to the nearest security guard or police officer and make them aware, hey, I'm being followed. This happened to me in Cancun. A guy was following me, so I went right next to the officer, and I just stood there and looked at him, and then, he moved on and left. If you are trying to figure out where you're going, you don't read your maps well, you can leave your AirPods in and have Siri tell you how to get there. So at least you're still looking around rather than just having your phone out while it's giving you the route information. Walk with confidence. Most of the time, I am lost. I am directionally challenged, but I walk like I kind of know where I'm going. Sometimes tourists will stop smack in the middle of the street with a map out or their phone, and they're trying to get service or they're trying to turn on city Wi-Fi, and I'm just like, y'all are wilding out. I heard in Brazil that they would swipe your phones. You have the Uber, you have to have your phone out so you can match the plates. And they said that they would have a lot of pickpocketing there. So I said, well, I'm just not going to wear pockets. I wore dresses the whole time. Now that brought on harassment because, you got your dresses on and the men like to see the skin, but I didn't get nothing swiped. I was not pickpocketed. I'm not trying to alarm you, but traveling solo, especially as a woman, even as a male, people are watching you. They are curious. In some of these countries, traveling solo as a woman is not common to them. So they're going to want to know your stories. Make up one. Like, you don't have to be honest here. Also, I'm going to say, document your travels. This is your first time going. In the future, it would be cool to compare, your mindset, see how it was back then. But you do not have to post it daily on your trip. I don't do it until weeks, months later because, for the channel, I would just like for you to document it. If you're not into photos, you can use a diary or journal. This is going to be hopefully a time of self-discovery for you. I want you to embrace the journey. You are taking the time to do this for yourself. I know some people will tell me, hey, Janelle, I tried solo travel. I wasn't feeling it. All of these things happen. And I'm like, yes, sometimes negative things do happen, and it can really just turn your mind off from doing it in the future. Others are like, I prefer group travel. That's fine. I would just implore you to try it once. I'm telling you, I tried it back in my 20s. I was hooked. Solo travel is also going to enhance your cultural awareness because you're going to be able to interact with the locals. There aren't going to be any distractions from other people. You are truly going to be out there on your own, and you're going to be able to foster that independence. And I think that is absolutely amazing. Stay calm, think on your feet, trust your instincts. You can trust this video, trust me, hopefully trust the people in the comments. I am hoping will give you tips that help them when they took their first solo trip as well. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And if you are interested in more travel destinations, go ahead and click on this video. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to see you soon.